I'm working so hard to stay here to provide for myself and my son. Like, why do I keep hitting a freaking brick wall? Like, I'm so mad. YouTube, this your girl Humaya, and I am back with another video. If you are new to my channel, go ahead and click to subscribe. If you are already a subscriber, thank you so much. And for those who are new to my channel, I go by Humaya. I am a single mom. I have a 4-year-old son, and I was born and raised in LA. I live in Las Vegas right now, and I say right now because it's just right now. I have been dreading this video for so long. The more and more I keep getting signs that it is time to talk about this, the more I'm like, okay, girl, get it together. And the main reason why I really want to talk about it is because I currently have friends in my life right now who are trying to take that leap of faith, and just like, you know, when you take that leap of faith, you're just like, what about this and what about that? And so I'm just like, well, let me talk about my trials and tribulations, because if my close friends and family members are going through the same thing that I went through 3 years ago, then it has to be other people out there going through the same thing, right? Where do I even start? I can talk to my old self, my younger self. Whew. I don't know what the title of this video is going to be yet, but I know for a fact somewhere in the midst of it is going to emphasize me moving from LA to Las Vegas with a 1-year-old. I was living with a roommate, and things were okay. And then I got pregnant. Working at a job, I was in banking. Because I had a roommate living in Los Angeles, I was able to save a little bit of my money because I was going half on rent with someone, right? LA is not a cheap place to live. It is extremely expensive for even just a studio, a box, okay? Just a box is like over $1,000, probably over $1,200 now. I don't know what the prices is, but I'm sure it's a lot, because that's just how California is. Like, there is no because. So I had my roommate. Things were going good. I was going to work, saving my money. Then I went on maternity leave. I had my baby. And then when I went on maternity leave, found childcare. However, their hours of operation was not matching my hours of operations with my employer. So I had to quit. I had saved up so much money from the time of me being pregnant and working. I was able to afford to stay home with my baby for at least a year. Obviously, I was still getting like money from my employer for being on maternity leave and things like that. When those funds started to run out, like I said, I want my YouTube videos to be as blunt as possible. I don't want to sugarcoat anything. I don't want to seem like I just got it all. I came from a rich family. No. When those funds ran out, I started seeking assistance from the government. I was able to get like food stamps for my son. I started looking for a job. I found a job in child development. So here's the thing with child development. When my son was like 6 months old, I knew that I wanted to be in an environment, wherever my son was at, I wanted to be in an environment where I knew I could bring him with me. I know that sounds crazy, but I researched. Child development was that place. From June to July, I took 4 classes. My son was turning 1 in August. So from June and July, and by this time he was going to childcare, because I was able to go to school and they were still able to watch my son for me, and I still was living off of my savings. So from June, July, I told myself, you are going to pass these classes because you only need a certain amount of classes to work in the child development field. Took 4 classes over the summer. If you guys know, the summer is not like the fall or spring. It's not months. It is just 3.5, 4 weeks of classes, and you have to pass your classes. I went to school every single day, had these 4 classes, and I passed all my classes with a straight A. So when I got my CPR card, because that was also something that you needed to be in the child development field. Got my CPR card, got child development under my belt, boom, I started applying for jobs. So I started off as a preschool teacher. I was working with 12 kids in my classroom by myself, and my responsibility was to teach these kids their ABCs, numbers, colors, shapes, you know, the bare minimum. But also, they had an infant side where my son can go, and so they program started from infant to 5 years old. My son was about to be 1. I knew that he was able to come to that school. That was what I went to school for, so that I wouldn't have to worry about childcare and I wouldn't have to pay for childcare, because I knew as an employee he can come for free. Roommate unexpectedly moved out. Yeah, roommate did not pay 3 months of her portion of the rent. Moved out.
Now I know y'all wondering how come I didn't know, but trust me, I did not know. It was a learning experience for me, and I would never go through something like that again.
I had to come up with 3 months of her back rent. Okay, I know I'm like jumping here and there, but just follow with me, just bear with me, okay? Got the job, son's in childcare, got my child development, got my CPR card, everything is starting to go into motion. Roommate unexpectedly moves out on me, didn't pay 3 months of her portion of the rent, so now I'm having to pay her past 3 months of the rent plus current rent, right? Plus my portion of the rent. Remind you, savings is running out, just got this job, so I'm not getting checks in like that. I was able to pay her past portion of the rent, worked out an arrangement with my apartment complex to still give me some time to catch up on everything, because it was just so much money. Oh my God. Worked out an arrangements with them so that they wouldn't kick me out, okay? Because at this time my son is 1 year old. I just started working. Like, please, okay, don't do this to me right now. So I had a friend who was telling me, like, you need to just move out, move to Las Vegas, you know, start over, you know, rent is extremely high in California. Don't do that to yourself. So I'm like, no, this is where I was born and raised. My family's here. There's no way. Why would I do that? God had other plans for me. Like, God really had other plans for me, and I was not moving in the direction God wanted me to move. So God was just like, okay, all right. So got my rent check ready to pay my rent for 1 month. So the 3 months I catched up on. Looked for roommates. I looked for cheaper apartments. I applied for cheaper apartments. Nothing was working. Nothing was working, okay? Started selling stuff, trying to get extra money. It's just, things was still just like here, okay? I needed to be here, but it was here. So after getting my rent check ready to pay rent, although I was still 1 month behind, rent check got stolen. So I'm like, okay. Had to quit my job. Got a baby. Roommate moves out on me. Rent check gets stolen. So I'm like, wow, this what else? Anything else? But yeah, more stuff happened, right? So rent checks get stolen. So I didn't tell my apartment complex yet, because I didn't want them to be like, okay, you're playing games. So as I'm still trying to go to work, because I had to decide, keep a roof over my head for me and my son, or keep a car to go back and forth to work. Oh my goodness. And I'm laughing at this because it's just like, I really went through that. I chose to keep a roof over me and my son's head. Meanwhile, my car gets repoed. Again, I am being so blunt with y'all and honest, and I don't care how people take this video, and I don't care how people look at me, because this is my trials and tribulations, whatever. So I'm literally walking downstairs to go to my car, and I'm looking for my car, and I'm like, okay. When I tell y'all things was rough, things was rough, okay? So after my car got repoed, somebody gave me a car, and that somebody is not even worthy talking about, After my rent check got stolen, my apartment complex calls me and like, hi, we know that you haven't paid your rent for this month and you're still 1 month behind. When should we expect a payment from you? When they called me, I don't know why, but my heart dropped and I immediately wanted to cry. I was sitting in my car on my lunch break receiving this phone call. And I'm just in tears, and I'm just like, I don't even know what to tell these people. Like, I can't give them another sob story because, you know, I've been trying to make my rent up. So I can't tell them that. And my new job was enough for me to afford my rent. Like, it was enough for me to afford my rent. I was making decent money. But now I'm 2 months behind. I just, you know, I told them, like, unfortunately, you know, I'm trying to get you guys the rent check. I just started a new job. You know, is there any way you guys can work with me just a little bit longer? The lady said, I would love to work with you, but unfortunately it's out of my hands right now. The property owner has stepped in and the property owner needs their rent check. And I'm just like, well, you know what? I just don't have it right now. Like, I really just don't have it right now. And she said, well, unfortunately, he's giving you until Saturday, which at the time was Wednesday. Hang up with her, and my lunch was an hour, so I'm, you know, looking for places because I constantly was always looking for apartments anyway. Found another place that was a little bit cheaper. I put in an application with them. The man said that he was going to call me back after he put the application in about an hour or so. I'm waiting an hour. I go back to work. I tell my boss straight up, like, you know, I've been looking for apartments and I just haven't had any luck. My apartment complex just called me and told me if I don't have their rent money by Saturday, then I'm going to have to move out. I said, but I've put in an application for another apartment complex and I have good faith that I'm going to get it. And I'll know for sure if I get the place when they call me back in an hour. If not, unfortunately, I'm going to have to move to Las Vegas because I have no more options. And she's like, what? like, I just hit her with all of this. I just blurbed it all out. And she's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're going to pray about it. You're going to get it. It's going to be good. Just have faith. Go back to class. Go back to work. Just be with the kids. You're going to be good. So I go back to work. I'm dealing with my students and stuff like that. And then I get my last break of the day. And I call them because they have not called me yet. So I call them. And the guy picks up the phone. And I'm like, you know, this is so-and-so. And I applied for so-and-so. Just wanted to know if I got the apartment or not. He's like, unfortunately, we went with another tenant, and when he said that, I was like, oh my God. Like a wave of tears just went. I didn't even know what to feel. Like, I was so frustrated because it was just like, why? Like, I'm working so hard to stay here to provide for myself and my son. Like, why do I keep hitting a freaking brick wall? Like, I'm so mad. So again, it's Wednesday. I go in my boss office and I tell her, like, I did not get the place. Unfortunately, today it's gonna be my last day. I know I didn't give you a 2 weeks notice, but I won't have a place to live by Saturday morning. She's like, wait, like, today is your last day? Like, at this point, it's like the end of my shift, and I tell her this, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Because I worked like for a Christian company, they were a little bit more understanding, so they weren't like upset too much about it. But I cried and cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. After I left on Wednesday, I went home, I got my baby, and I got myself together. I cried so much. I'm like, all right, it's time to get yourself together because your son needs you. You need to be strong. called my brother. I asked my brother, like, listen, I got 2 days to clear out this apartment and move to Las Vegas. And I'm like, I have no options. Like, literally, I have no options. So he like, yeah, of course I'm gonna help you. So my brother came. Then I call a friend of mine, and I'm just like, listen, I'm about to be moving Saturday morning. I wanted to know if you could just drive with me. I'll drive. If you could just ride with me to Las Vegas, because I've never driven to Vegas by myself. She's like, yeah, what time you need me to be there? I'm like, 4 in the morning. She's like, all right, I'm gonna be there. So she came with her 2 kids. My brother came, and literally they helped me get everything out of the house into 2 cars. So it's 4 o'clock in the morning. We loading everything up, and I'm on my way to Las Vegas because my friend, she offered me and my son a place to live until I get on my feet. So grateful for her. 6 o'clock in the morning, we finally get to get on the road to go to Las Vegas, and I'm still holding it together. And I'm sad, but I'm holding it together because I'm like, my friends, my family, everybody is in LA. Like, I was so mad. I was so depressed and so miserable. Like, I was just a really bitter person. And when I moved out here, it was just like, I felt like I had no support from friends and family that I've known my entire life. So I was really angry. But after going through that and understanding, I knew for a fact that Las Vegas is where I was supposed to be. I needed to be by myself, which is a whole nother video, like a whole nother video on just my journey on being out here. I get to my friend's house. If I don't remember anything else from this experience, I remember this like it was yesterday. Waking up that next day and telling my friend, that was the best sleep I've ever gotten in my entire life. The best. And it wasn't like my friend had this decked out bed for us, but it was like God was like, I was like, in a way it felt like God basically was like, finally. And my body was like, finally. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it was, but it was like the world was finally lifted off my shoulders and I can finally relax. And I did. I woke up just like ready to go. So moved from LA, got to Las Vegas, and my goal was to make sure I set me and my son up. My goal wasn't to come out here and party and, you know, just live off my friend. My goal was to find a place, find a school that I can work at, and that my son can also attend. That was my goal. That was my 2 goals. Within 3 days, I had like